Hi guys, my name is Crystal Bianca and welcome to my channel. So today I thought that I would do a video for any of you people out there who are thinking about writing a book but you don't really know where to start. So I'm going to be talking today about where I started and where may be a good point for you to start if you're looking to write a book one day. So I've always loved reading. I spent my childhood, my teen years reading, and I knew that I wanted to write a book one day. I didn't know what the story would be. I didn't even know what it would be about. I just hoped that I would come up with an idea that I would be passionate enough about to write a book about. The first step that I think to writing a book is to come up with an idea. This may be easier or harder for others, but I think that it's really good to start small. So when I first got the idea for my book or for my characters, I was listening to music, I was listening to a certain song. I got a real feel for the relationship between the two characters in the song that I was listening to, and I really wanted to replicate this relationship in an actual book because I felt that it was so strong and it was so powerful, and I wanted to write a story that was quite impactful. So I started off with the idea of this relationship between these two characters, and then from there I built upon their characteristics. Who are these characters? What they look like? What are their personalities like? And then I went from there. So for you, this might be a dream, this might be an experience, something that you've gone through and you thought that, wow, that might actually sound really good in writing. So if you had a conflict with someone in real life and you thought, oh yeah, I might want to write this down and for it to become a great inspiration for a story, then that's where you start. You start at that event, you get the details of that event down, and then you decide who the characters are and develop it from there. Once you've come up with this first idea, I think it's a really good idea to brainstorm your characters. So get out a pen and paper, write your character's name in the middle. If you don't know the name, that's fine. And then write down maybe their attributes. What do they look like? What do they sound like? What are their mannerisms? What is their behavior? How do they act in certain situations? So once you get a clear vision of some of your main characters in your mind, then it's probably a good idea to come up with some other events or ideas that could surround your main idea. So if you've got this main idea of your characters going for a picnic, for example, so how do they get to the picnic? What are their backstories? What happens after the picnic? Sort of brainstorming those sort of ideas. You can slowly introduce other characters and know their part in your story. So I remember when I first started doing this, I had the idea of my two main characters and not being in a conventional happy sort of relationship. They weren't exactly together, but they were sort of friends and they had a bit of a toxic relationship. So I first started out with my main character Elliot. I felt like based on that song that I heard that he would be quite cold and quite distant and you really didn't know what he was thinking. And then I had this other character that was called Simone, and she was a bit more vulnerable. She's a little bit needy. All she wanted to do was to be in a relationship with this guy who seemed way too complicated. So that's what I started off with my story, and then I built a story around there. I maybe came up with some situations that I would see these two characters in, and then I'll try and connect the dots. You don't have to brainstorm these ideas all in one session. It's really good not to push yourself, because when you push yourself, you're sort of stopping that creative aspect of your brain, and then you're forcing the words out and forcing the ideas out, and it's not really going to work. It's not going to come organically. So I think it's really good to sort of keep a notepad around, go about your day, do your normal stuff, and then maybe think about it in your free time and maybe come up with some ideas in nature, relaxing, because that's when you're going to come up with the most authentic and realistic ideas. On this notepad, you can slowly list down some characters, some settings, some events, and then there will come a time where you've got so much information that you can sort of form a story and arrange these events to make it coherent. So that's the way that I did my story. I had a few events in my head that I really wanted to get down. So then I had these events, and then I really need to figure out how I would get there. So what would have to happen in the story for this to happen at the end of the story? And that's how I created my first book. This is from my personal experience with my first book, and these are how I got ideas down, and I got perfectly fractured my first book into a coherent whole story based on a single idea alone. So if you're really struggling to know where to start and when to kick off your story, maybe this might be a good technique to try and see how you go from there. If you like this video and you're interested in more writing tips or writing related videos, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching.